at the Fifth Avenue Pavilion has succumbed to the pandemic because of everything that is going on. They could not pay for their lease this year, and they are going to vacate the building. We've had a lot of discussions with them to try to help them out, but when it comes down to it, that it's not the cruise bay that's hurting them. I guess it's all their other places, and they just did not have the money to pay. So they're looking to get out of their lease. And what we want to do is get right out to rebid it and to see if anybody is interested in bidding for the Taylor Pavilion for this summer. We tried to work a few things out with them, but they're basically probably almost in a position to go bankrupt. So it's one of those unfortunate things that happened because of the pandemic. But so there's two resolutions on here. One is to release them from the lease, and the other one is to go out for bid to see who would be interested in leasing the concession at the Fifth Avenue Pavilion. It's never easy to let anybody out of a lease, but because of what we're going through with the pandemic, we feel it's only fair to release them from the lease and then try to find somebody else that doesn't have such a big organization to lease that space. So that's on the resolution. If anybody has any questions about that. All right. I don't have much. I mean, everything else is pretty much what's normal for the resolution calendar. I don't know if anybody wants to bring anything up before we vote on it, but if not, we will move on because that's all I have.
Yeah, I don't have anything that's on the resolution workshop, but I did want to note that the zoning board sent their annual report up with some recommendations for the council to consider, and I think we should all take a look at that and probably either have discussions about what we think about those recommendations for implementing.
Yeah, I just got them, so I didn't go over them real well. So we'll probably do that for the next meeting. We'll go over what their recommendations are for the upcoming year. So we'll probably bring that up at the next meeting because I know I just received it, and I didn't have enough time to go over the whole thing. Yes, Pat. You got to unmute.
I just unmuted you. It should go. Hold on.
Again.
Well, go ahead.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Me and my computers. I had a question about Cruise Bay and anybody. You're not going to go for any long-term leases there, are you?
Well, we're going to try to go out for, because if somebody comes in, they're looking for at least 5-year. I know their lease was for a 10-year plus a 10-year renewal. So I think what we'll do is we'll go out for bid for 5-year with a 5-year renewal just to see who's out there and who might be interested. And we'll send it out to a couple companies that might be interested in something like that. It's tough to lease something in this in the pandemic that we're in, but we do. We do have a lot of people coming into the beach. So Cruise Bay counted on a lot of their income from the Taylor Pavilion, which was closed down. So hopefully we can get somebody that would be interested in just the Cruise Bay space for this summer. So I think only in fairness that it should be at least 5 years because they got to put some equipment in and to make money at something, it probably needs to be at least 5 years. So we'll put that in there. We'll see what we get. Of course, all bids can be rejected if we don't like what's coming in. So we'll put it out there and see what's available.
That's good. Thank you.
Mark, excuse me, Mayor, I'm looking at the resolution here. And, I see that this lease is $8,000 per month. So $96,000 a year. I don't see that this $8,000 a month is just for the season. So just some clarity on that. Is this a year-round lease for that
Yes.
space?
Yes, year round.
Okay.
Yeah, because they would have the opportunity to cater within the Taylor Pavilion. So, yeah, it's a year round, not just for season.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that clarification.
Anyone else before we move on? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to petitions. April, we have anything?
No, we do not.
Okay. Approval of the minutes, January 19th, 2021.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, reports of council. Councilman Carvelli.
Thank you, Mayor. So let's see. The planning board met last Monday. There were no applications, but swearing in of new and renewing members. Next meeting is 3:15. The finance committee met a week and a half ago. We're starting to take a look at, we're there, but we're starting to take a look at infrastructure and the long-term costs to the town for maintaining and upgrading that infrastructure. Seeing as how much it's costing to replace a section of sewer pipe on 15th Avenue. It's a pretty huge undertaking town-wide. And so we're discussing strategies and ways of addressing the infrastructure issue that we're going to have coming up in the next several years, considering we have a water and sewer system that's nearly 100 years old. And finally, there seems to be a lot of contention around the first aid squad issue and them closing their doors towards the end of March. I want to make it clear that the town, the council, and the administration does understand the concerns and that we are working diligently to have service in place by 4/1. However, as a steward of taxpayer money, I do think that we need to do our due diligence and understand where the monies that we give to the first aid squad are going. And it seems to, from all of the information that I've received and all of the correspondence that I've read, there seems to be some hesitation to us getting insight into their finances. And like I said, I've reviewed all of the correspondence, and I'm not sure how else we as a town could have proceeded and prevented what is transpiring from transpiring. With that said, all of those correspondence have now been posted to the town website, and I encourage everyone to take a look at those, read them, and then bring to our attention in open session what I or the rest of the council may be missing. So please, like I said, I encourage everyone to go to the website, download all the correspondence, read them, and come and provide feedback to us next council meeting. I'd welcome that. So with that, that's my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just to add a little bit of that, our business administrator is working diligently on all different angles to continue our first aid. One of the things that we have been looking at is to take on their employees in the borough and continue the first aid moving forward, having a Belmar First Aid with their employees that they have hired. We're looking at that whole angle. And so, you know, our business administrator, Kirschenbaum, has been having meetings almost daily on that. So, but we will have, I'm hoping that we could take something over, whether it's run through the police department. I know they just want to sell off the property and the building. So we might have to take the Belmar First Aid under the umbrella of the police department. And we're working on that issue, but hopefully we can keep the Belmar First Aid intact. They've been there for 93 years, and I, for one, would hate to see it go. I mean, they've done such great work over the years, and whatever we can do to keep it going. So we're working on that. Plus, we're working on some contingency plans, and we're looking at all different angles. But I can assure everybody that we will have emergency first aid or emergency medical services in this town on April 1. So I just wanted to add a little bit to that. Councilman McCracken.
Thank you, Mayor. The Belmar Housing Authority met last evening. All units are full, so that's good news. The building superintendent, Mike Carr, thanked the borough for assisting him in clearing the snow over there. So that building is safe for seniors to get around. So the Housing Authority is appreciative of that partnership with the borough. John Bonello is an attorney, I believe, out of Red Bank. Is appointed as the Housing Authority attorney. Amy Spera is the qualified purchasing agent. And they also thank the Friendly Sons of Shalala for purchasing a meal for the residents of the community. It's not the first time that they've done it. They purchased the meal through the manor, and they were delivered to the residents a nice hot meal. So the residents there were greatly appreciative of that. Again, the meetings are public, and they're the first Monday of the month. Shade Tree Commission's next meeting is on February 17th. That meeting will be, one of the topics in that meeting will be discuss the tree inventory that was done in town. The municipality put together this flyer called Tree Facts. It's an instructional flyer. I actually think April did it. Thank you, April. For contractors and new owners in town about which trees they are responsible for. Well, they're responsible for all the trees in the property, but the trees that they're responsible for getting a permit for, and those are between the sidewalk and the curb. If they want to prune them or remove them or replace them. And it's an easy, just an easy way to, rather than shift through the ordinance or sift through the ordinance, to be able to review that, because there's been some confusion about new construction or renovations and trees being removed and not being replaced. And that's also been brought to the attention of the building inspector and the zoning officer and code enforcement in town to take a look at those. We certainly want to keep our town green and beautiful, and we just want to make sure that everybody is aware of the rules and how to follow them. One update I don't have, and I don't know if our borough administrator is aware or not, but I know we sort of kicked the invasive species ordinance. We tabled that. We were waiting for some decisions to come out of Lake Como. They were doing an extensive amount of research on invasive species. And I was just wondering, Ed, if you had an update on that, or if that's still a work in progress. I'll take that back to the commission.
Still a work in progress.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, Councilman Carvelli touched on this, and the mayor stated that he didn't have a chance to review it, so we'd be talking about the next meeting. But I did have a chance to review the zoning board of adjustment year-end report. Thank those volunteers who are on that board for all the work that they do. They had 14 meetings last year. In addition to some of the recommendations that they made, I just do think we need to be aware that, we do have our new environmental resource inventory. We just had a major weather event in town. We are subject, obviously, to, other natural disasters and events. And, I think that one of the things that we just need to be aware of when we review this, and I'm just sharing this now for people to think about when we talk about it at our next meeting or whatever the format for that is. But, certainly height and density, but, look at our parking situation too. Every time you see a snowstorm and you see the cars that people can't get off the street because they may not have a place to put them, it's just something to think about as we look at our planning, master plan and zoning to make sure that we have adequate parking in the town so that public safety can respond well to emergencies. DPW can clear their streets when there's major snow events such as this, and also allow access to DPW to clear drains and stuff like that as ice and snow melts or they get clogged with branches after a major windstorm or something like that. We all want to be very well aware of all those situations. So great report by them and a lot to talk about. But just since we've had a state of emergency here the last couple of days, a couple of things have come to mind that I want to keep in my head as we look at those moving forward. And I think that's all I have in my notes, with the exception of thanks to DPW and the borough for the response in this storm. I listened to the governor and didn't go out, but I did get out a little bit this afternoon and looked out the windows a lot yesterday, and it seemed like they were doing a good job keeping our streets clear. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to echo Councilman McCracken's sentiments. I thank you, DPW. I also did not go out, but I can tell you, if the rest of the streets in town are like 11th Avenue, we're in great shape. I mean, we did kind of dodge a bullet compared to other places in the county who got quite a bit more snow, but we still had enough that had to be cleaned up. We couldn't be driving around if DPW hadn't done such a great job cleaning everything up. So thank you, John McGuire, and thank you everybody on your team. Really appreciate it. I don't really have anything else. I do want to echo the comments of Councilman Carvelli and Councilman McCracken and Mayor Walsifer as far as first aid goes. I mean, we are taking action tonight because it's the responsible thing to do to make sure there's no interruption in emergency medical services in town. But I am still hopeful. I know I am still hopeful that maybe in some way, shape, or form, Belmar First Aid continues to exist, because I think it's a big part of the town's identity, and anything we can do to keep it there, we have to do that. So that's my report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And yes, I'm with you. We need to keep it in town. Council President Wong.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to echo what everybody said about DPW. John, it was a great job. I mean, the streets look like it never snowed here. They did a wonderful job of plowing. But also to just touch for a second on what Jim talked about. There were cars on the streets and the plows cannot get through. And some of these cars, I know down at this end, are rentals. And I'm beginning to believe that some of these people who come into town, winter rentals, they're not hooked up to our code red, and they don't understand. And I guess maybe the realtors or the owners who rented to them have told them that when it snows, they need to be off the road. So I think that's something we may want to look into in the future. I know it wasn't top of mind because we didn't have snow for 2 years. So, but here we go again. So it just might be something to think about. Last night we had an ADA meeting, first one in a while. And we are in the process of offering the new residents in town, for lack of a better word, it's the welcome wagon. And we want to fill that with all the information on what our town has to offer, from restaurants and shops, county programs for challenged and disabled people. We're going to look into this. I'm going to be working with John. Some of it will be in paper, some could be digital. This is all in the works right now. And I think it's pretty exciting. We have a lot of homes being sold, a lot of new people in town, and we have a lot to offer. So this way we'll have a list of everything the town and everything that we have to offer to them. Also, I'm happy to announce that beach access for people with disabilities, whether it's physical or neurological, will now be free. All they need will be proof of a disability. It can be a county ID, work ID, or a doctor's note. Or they'll just have to go to one of the booths, show their ID, and they'll be given a wristband, and they can get on the beach for free. I'm very happy to announce that it's been something that's been on the mind of a lot of people, and I'm glad to be able to say that we're going to go forward with that this summer. So beach access for disabilities, physical or neurological, this summer. Also last night it was mentioned that it was mentioned before, but some of the people on the committee did not know that there'll be Moby mats on all the beaches. So in case somebody missed it at the last announcement, I just wanted to repeat that there will be Moby mats. Let's see. Oh, this is one that's been in the works for a while, and I am so happy about this. I think there's a particular resident who's going to be really happy to hear this. Christine did a wonderful job in finding some money for us that we needed, and now we can go ahead and do the tennis courts and add pickleball courts. I'll get that right. And this is very exciting, and this is something we can be proud of down at McCleary Park. And then in the future, I'm hoping that through the rec department, we can offer tennis lessons for the kids in town. So this is really exciting news, and thanks, Christine, for finding the money that we needed. Also, I'm working right now on the process of creating a community information site. Kind of working, it'll be off the community policing program, but this will be open to everyone. Everyone go on board. It's not going to be related to crimes or drugs or whatever. It's just going to be related to things that everybody want to know. For instance, the boardwalk. Why is the boardwalk damaged? Well, a car banged into it. 12th Avenue was closed because we're working on it. Just information pertaining to things that are going on in the town that everybody would be interested in. It's a work in progress. And I'll keep you informed as we go along. I'll be working with Chief Scott, with the mayor on this, and it's just to keep everybody informed as to what's going on. I guess that's about it I have for now. Thank you, Mayor, very much. And I'm very excited about these new programs. I'm very excited about the tennis courts. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pat. I just want Business Administrator Kirschenbaum talk a little bit about the disability daily badges, because I just want to make sure that everybody's clear that how we can do it. So if you could just add a little bit to that, Business Administrator.
Sure, Mayor. The disability falls under the statute of public trust doctrine. And there is a statute on our website for beach badges that has to be followed in order to qualify for that. So we're going to have the booths equipped with all that information. We're still working on the fine print as far as how we're going to launch this program. But we're going to be following all the statutes and be responsive to HIPAA violations, that we don't cross the line there. So there's going to be some guidelines on our website and information for anybody that does have a disability, so they do the right thing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just to clear that up. So, we have to follow the statute and we're gonna have to, I guess, put it in our ordinance. So that's coming up. All the logistics for that are, we'll iron out and get that up to speed before summer starts. But, yeah, I'm happy that, we can come up with a plan to, have our disabled, residents and visitors be able to use our beach for no cost.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to check. Isn't this the same exact process that we use for active military and veterans? They could come to the booth, they show their badge, they get their wristband, and they're on for free. So it's
Yes.
basically the same. That excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, same principle we're going to use. But we just want to make sure we have all the logistics down and follow what the statute says. So we're working on all that, but before summer, we will have it in place. The only thing I have really in my report is I definitely want to thank DPW. They came out, they did a great job clearing the streets, making sure everybody can get around, clearing up Borough Hall so everybody can get around, schools. So they did a really good job. I think we covered everything else that I was going to cover. So that's it.
Mayor,
Yes.
okay, just one thing real quick. I know this will be part of the program, but just to emphasize, we just don't want anyone who is disabled or a veteran who's accessing the beach this summer to be embarrassed or feel uncomfortable about the process. So we just want to make sure that during the training with new hires and existing employees that we have in April and ongoing through the summer, we have the program clearly outlined so that they're able to address these situations and give them the access that they deserve without being uncomfortable. And we just want to make sure that that's part of the ongoing training and plan to avoid any kind of embarrassing situations.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We'll definitely have that training in place. They do have training sessions for everybody that's in the booth. And they'll be issued a wristband like everybody else gets to access the beach. So our badge attendants or the gate attendants won't even know the difference, but we will. We're definitely not going to embarrass anybody. They're just going to come up to the booth, show their credentials, and they'll get a free wristband to get right on the beach. So, and we'll have training programs and make sure everybody's in place to be up to speed for that. All right, we'll move on to public session for any of the consent agenda items.
Please click the raise hand button or dial *9 if you're here by phone, and remember to state your name and address before you speak.
Okay. Thank you, April. One moment. Gerald, coming to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have a question just on, a couple of questions on.
Mr. Buttafusco, could you just name and address just for the record?
Gerald Buttafusco, 409 Fifth Avenue.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Resolution 2021-52. Reading the title, it seems like it's for approval to use the competitive contracting process for procurement of emergency medical services. But when I read the first paragraph, it talks about desire to obtain professional revaluation services for the project entitled Emergency Medical Services. What is that term, professional revaluation services, mean?
Mayor, can I chime in since I prepared it?
Yes, Mr. Dasty, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Bucklefisto, I'm not sure what the issue is in terms of the grammar. We are going to be evaluating proposals from various medical service companies. It's not a strictly low bid issue. It's based on numerous criteria. So if you don't think the first paragraph is grammatically articulate, that's what it means. I think it's fine, but
No, I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with it being grammatically correct. I just never expected to see the terms professional revaluation services And I thought, and I agree with you, I thought that the whole resolution was for using the competitive contracting process to assess the emergency medical services
Okay.
proposals. Okay. Now, my second question is, are those emergency medical services, is this what would be in lieu of the first aid squad and what they do now?
Well, it's up to the mayor and council, but I think that the mayor and council is giving all the options open. That's one of the potential that we would go to an outside service company to do that. But as you heard earlier, the mayor has some other thoughts. So we have a lot of things in the fire here, and we got at least 4 to 6 weeks to get this straightened out.
So as a result of this resolution, is there going to be a request for proposal prepared?
Yes.
I get it. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And the reason why we're doing this is to look at every one of our options. Our first option on this governing body is to keep the Belmar First Aid in place, take over their employees, and run it under the police department. That's what our goal is. But because of the time restraints, we're also looking at what our other options are to give the residents of Belmar the best emergency medical services that are out there. So, but every one of us on the governing body is our first course of action is to keep the Belmar First Aid in place, no matter how we have to do that. They have great employees right now. We want to take them under the umbrella of Belmar, and we want to try to run it under the police department. But we're also leaving our other options out just to make sure, because if that happens to fall through, we want to make sure that we have everybody in place by April 1st. So this is going out, and we could reject everybody as long as, if we're going on this course of taking over the Belmar First Aid, then all these other proposals that have come in will be rejected. But we're leaving all our options open. So, and that's why we prepared this, to get it out there to see exactly what's out there.
So I'm just slightly confused. Would it be fair to say that the proposal is going to have a number of different options for these vendors to basically submit proposals on? I mean, is it going to be like one is going to be a full-time service, one might be an evening service? I mean, are there going to be options that the vendors will be specifically putting in proposals for?
Well,
That could be one. One of them could be having the Belmar First Aid in conjunction with maybe 2 other towns that are paid, that we could all work together. That could be one of the options. So we're putting it out there. What our needs are and what could come up with the best strategies for the residents of Belmar. So that's why it's going out. It's going to be pretty much open to whatever we think could work best for us.
Okay, and will this proposal cover emergency services for the summer, specifically along the beachfront?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, and I'm just curious, is that a cost that is borne by the beach utility?
As long as it's during beach hours. During the night where we have paid employees on for the bars, and that's a cost for the town.
Okay, and I guess my last question on this is, what's the benefit to the borough of using the competitive contracting process as opposed to the bidding process, which gives us the lowest responsible bidder?
Well, this is a bidding process, but I don't think we want to be. The competitive process is out there for a reason. The state has determined that there are professional services which are not necessarily dependent upon the lowest price. And I'm not too sure we want automatically the lowest price for emergency services for obvious reasons. So obviously price is part of the criteria, and but that's one of the criteria. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, is that all? All right. Stand by. And Sherry, coming to you.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Sherry Russo, 1218 Briarwood Road in Belmar. I started out with only a few light questions, but in what you said, I have a few other things to say. One thing is I work with, volunteer with some organizations that are work with people with disabilities, and I texted a few people to find out if it was illegal for us to ask for IDs. And the two people that I asked thought that it was illegal to ask. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Well, whatever the statute says, that's what we're going to do.
All right, and so we don't know yet. And my other question is, what about, do you know, some people have those handicap placards? Would that be something that one would use to show proof of disability?
No,
No.
that's for a driver. That's a driver and a car.
Right, but they would have to be disabled to get the handicap placard. So would that then fall under the doctor's? Sorry, I didn't
No,
hear you.
there's kids that use their grandparents' handicap stickers. So no.
Oh, of course, right. But I'm just saying, like, let's say
Just
woman
to
had
clear it
a-
up, whatever the statute says that
Yeah.
you could ask for ID, that's exactly what we'll be using.
Okay,
Set by statute on exactly
Alright,
what you
and-
could ask the disability people.
all right. And we just don't have that information yet, I see. And my other thing, I'm sorry? I didn't hear what Mr. Kirschenbaum said.
It's online. You can
It's
look it up.
online. Okay. Just because you didn't have the information, I figured that you would know it if you had read it online also. And my other thing that I just want to say about that, I think that's kind of crappy, if I can use that word, that, you know, it's hot in the summer. Someone has a person with a disability. Are they waiting in line? Did they get to go to the front of the line? Can we at least make that for them?
Sherry, I just want to stop you for a minute because I'm just
Yes.
realizing this is a public session for a resolution item. So if you have a
Was that not
question.
part of the resolution for, I'm sorry, I thought.
No, it's not part of the resolution. You could ask all those questions at the
All right,
end.
I will
I'm just
ask them.
realizing that we're in public session for
Oh,
resolution.
yeah, no, I knew that. I thought because we talked about that, that it would fall under this. Is first aid under this time now?
First aid is, yes, because we're going out for bid to check to see what's out there.
Okay, and one thing Mr. Dasty said is the lowest price doesn't matter and that we don't necessarily want the lowest price. Yet we had so many problems that you all talked about with the last first aid that we had. And it was frequently talked about their price. Like you talked about that all the time. You know, they wanted too much money or they wanted more money. And now all of a sudden, the lowest price doesn't matter.
No, you're.
Ms. Russo, I didn't say that.
But we
I
talked
didn't say
about.
it doesn't
I
matter.
wrote down exactly what you wrote in there. It said.
No,
lowest
we
price
talked,
doesn't
what
matter.
we
He's
talked
not-
about,
Sorry, you're.
what we talked about was, we wanted to find out, we gave them a lot of money last year when they came to
Oh,
us. for
absolutely.
Insurances and
Yep.
whatever. So
Right,
when they come to us this year,
right.
all I was asking is to find out where their problems were so we could work it out so that we don't have to go through this every year. I said, just sit down with us, tell us where all your problems are. Let's try to work together, work them out. Some of them might not be monetary. If their administrative costs were too much for their employees, we could have brought them in here without adding any more employees. There was a lot of things that we could have done. All we asked was sit down, talk to us, let's straighten it out so that we don't go through this every year. It was nothing about not giving them money or anything like that. I've had meetings with them. I said,
I'm
listen,
sure, yep.
we will sit down. We want the Belmar First Aid to survive. And, but there are a lot of other things we could do, just like we did for their insurance last year, where we brought their insurance under the borough of the umbrella of the borough, so we could save them all that money. Now, there's a lot of different things that we could have done with them, but all I was asking was to sit down. You just can't come and say, hey, listen, I need another $70,000. I have to explain
of
to the
course.
taxpayers. I have to explain to the taxpayers where that money's going. So All we did was ask for them to sit down, tell us where their problems are. Let's work together so that we could sustain the first aid for years to come. So I don't know where you're getting together talking about, well, we wouldn't give them their price, because that was not the case.
I thought I really remembered you saying that they asked for money and you wouldn't give them to them unless, you know, such and such, as you talked about, I don't want to reiterate everything you just said, was met. And will we be doing that with the next first aid? I'm assuming
Absolutely.
here, right?
But if it comes under the umbrella of the Belmar, we'll know where the problems are and we'll know how to fix them but because the first aid is a separate entity,
Right.
they didn't feel like they wanted to show us any of their problems, and they just decided to close. So they are completely separate from the Borough of Belmar.
Oh, I understand that, absolutely. And now
So now what we're trying to do is they have great employees down there that work hard for the
Right.
Borough of Belmar.
Yes.
And we are trying to bring them in and put them on our payroll and run first aid.
Right. Right.
That's our first choice. But we're also looking at who could supply the best medical emergency services.
Oh,
for the whole
absolutely.
town.
Yeah.
And price is not, lowest price in something like this is not always the best way to go.
I absolutely agree with
Ms.
that.
Russo,
but
just as Ms. Russo, I think you misunderstood me. I did not say price is irrelevant. What I said in response to Mr. Bucafusto's question was, that's one of the criteria. We don't automatically take the lowest bid. That's why it's
Absolutely. And I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, you said I said price is irrelevant. I never said that.
No, I didn't say relevant because
Irrelevant.
I took notes here and I wrote down in my notes, and relevant wasn't a word that I wrote down in my notes, so I wouldn't have used that. And one more question on that quickly. In speaking about you combining with other towns and regionalizing it, would we still then have control over what you're talking about here, or would something else be going on?
Ms. Russo, this is all in the planning stages.
Oh,
So-
absolutely.
And
Yes.
believe me, the only thing that this governing body is looking at is the best medical services for Belmar. So if I think it's going to diminish what we have here, we're not doing it. So, and you know, you could talk to me, we don't have anything in place yet. We're looking at every area that we could look at. We have April 1st as a date coming up. But I will tell you
Absolutely.
this, we will have emergency medical services in this town by April 1st.
Absolutely. I just want to, you know, comment on one thing you said, that you were looking for the best first aid possible. And I believe that our first aid when it was here was amazing and it was absolutely wonderful. I just want to say that and point that out. And
I totally agree with you. I worked with them
I
for
think,
25 years.
you know, they were
25
the
years, I
best.
worked side by side with them. So
Yep, and
I
just
know how
wanna
good
say-
they are.
Yes, I think that they are the best. I just wanted to say that and that they did great, and that I think it's very sad that they are leaving. I think that is very sad for the town. They're the oldest first aid, and I just think that is an awful situation. And you know, I just think that is such a loss for all of us.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And stand by. Coming to Linda Sharkus, stand by.
Good evening, Linda Sharkus, 4th Avenue. I want to follow up, and one of the considerations when you go out to bid for a first aid group is that co-pays for residents should be charged. It's kind of like the beach badge. Why should we get a perk for having to go in a bus over to the hospital? We don't get a perk for living in Belmar, being at the beach. And I think if you had income from a copay for people with insurance, I think it's bad enough we got to cover the ones that don't have insurance, but I think for those of us who have, that probably isn't a big expense overall. And I think that's one of the things that we may have made a mistake trying to have free service, emergency service for residents. I mean, especially if people do have insurance. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. One moment. Tynes?
Good evening to you all. This is Franny Hine. I've been listening intently to.
Franny, just state your address, please.
My name is Franny Hine. I live at 84 Ridge Terrace in Neptune City, New Jersey. I've been with the Belmar case file for 40 years. Everybody keeps talking about all this money that you gave us. In 2020, we received $33,000 from the borough. Got half of that in May, I believe, and the rest of it the second week in September. So it was $33,000. It wasn't $80,000 or $70,000. The money that you paid for the employees at the beach did not go to the Belmar. Not one penny of it. It went to employees of the borough of Belmar. So that's not so true, you know.
But you did charge for the people coming off the beach, correct?
I'm sorry?
You charged for everybody coming off the beach going to the
Not
hospital.
everybody. They didn't have insurance. They didn't pay. And 10 times out of 15, they refused medical treatment, and it was a wash, and we never billed after. No, that's not. But anyway, you know, you're talking
Franny,
about
it's really neither here or there. You guys decided to close up, and we're trying to figure out what to do. So, you know, and I do appreciate everything that you guys did over the years. I really do. I worked side by side with you guys. It's a shame what's going on.
That's straight though, Mark.
But, you know, we have to.
Back into the GIF, that's right. But it didn't cost you a penny to do that. We paid that premium, $25,000. We paid the GIF, not you. I get it.
Well, listen, we could go back and forth. You know, we went through everything that we've paid through the years and looked at everything. All I did was ask you when we sat down was, let's see where the problems are so we could straighten it out once and for all. That's all I asked.
And what did I tell you? I told you
You told me you needed $70,000 to continue.
That's all we have.
Right. So all I wanted to do is, and you know, Franny, this governing body has to answer to the taxpayers of Belmar. And believe me, you know, we would have done anything, and we were trying to work it out. Then we got a letter in January 1 that says you're closing up. And when we tried to talk to your attorney, he just said there's no talking.
You can help us going under. And you laughed and said, I'll buy the property. There was 10 people in the room that heard you say that. So don't tell me how much you've done for us and trying to help us. That's just not true. Then you make up this story that you gave us $80,000, and the next thing I know, I'm getting letters from Mr. Nasty, you know. That's cool. Kenny Pringle has all our financial records, and you go see him, and he'll show him. But you don't really have a legal right. I didn't like the way you presented yourself, saying that you gave us $80,000, because that's not true. It's just not true. You gave us $33,000 last year.
Franny, I have professionals that have everything. So, you know, but listen, I don't want to be on this council meeting arguing with you. We were friends for years, and I do appreciate every one of you guys, every one of your family that did so much work for them. But we're in a position now that, you know, we're doing things.
You did this. So take that one.
What's that?
You did this.
I did it?
Yeah, you guys did this. Making up stories and coming after us.
I didn't make up any kind of story.
You had a right to go into our books. You don't
I didn't come. I'm not going after you, Franny. Franny, we're beyond this. I mean, you can sit here and argue with me all you want, but we're beyond this. We have to figure out what we're going to do for emergency medical services.
Good luck with that. But let's get the story straight. You cut my budget by $6,000 in 19 and in 20. So you know that. Cut my budget from $39,000 to $33,000. And so all this working with us, I don't think you did, you know. I don't know if you knew that or not, but let's get the story straight out here, you know. Let's get the story straight. We are going to close, Mark, because it's impossible to keep going. That's all. That's all.
Franny, all I want to do is I want to keep it going.
Well, you should. Okay. All right.
So, and, you know, I wish you the best of luck. And I don't blame you. I love all the first aid guys.
I've been accused of stealing money. I've been accused of other stuff too. So I don't like it.
Not by me, you haven't.
No, not from you. From your boy next to you. So So,
Franny, come on.
yeah, really? I
You know-
got the letter.
We're beyond this. I mean,
Yeah,
come
we
on.
are. I just
We're
want you to
trying
hear
to do,
from
we're
me.
trying to do the
I wanna hear
best for
from
the
you.
town.
I want everybody to hear from me because I've been there, I was there 40 years and nobody loves that town more than I do. So don't make it out like you're gonna be the savior. We could have been there if you did what we asked you to do. And that's the bottom line. We asked you for $40,000 to bring it to 70. That's
All you
we
had to
did.
do was sit down and talk to us. I
We already
don't know
did.
why you didn't want to do it.
We did. We didn't get it.
Franny, we're beyond that. I mean, we could argue all night
We
long
are.
here. I have a
I
council
just
meeting
get
to
angry
run.
listening to this stuff because you never gave us $80,000. Never, it never happened. Didn't happen.
You could sit down with my professionals and they'll show you exactly.
Yeah, you do that.
That's all I could tell you.
They're wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you about it. Good luck.
Seeing no more hands?
Can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve, excuse me, the resolutions as listed on the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Juan? You're on mute.
Give it a second. Sometimes it takes a minute. There you go.
There it goes. Yeah.
So, Councilwoman Juan?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 2021-01. This is second reading and public hearing on an ordinance amending Chapter 4 entitled Division of Treasury Functions. It's open for public hearing. If anyone would like to comment. Okay, don't see.
See no
any.
hands?
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-01.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Juan?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
And then next is second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2021-2. This is a bond ordinance amending previous bond ordinance 2020-42. It's open for public hearing. If anyone would like to comment on this ordinance.
See no hands?
Okay, a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-2.
Motion.
Second.
There you go.
Councilwoman Juan?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes. Okay, public session.
Okay, going to,
And again, please remember to state your name and address.
one second. Just trying to give everyone a chance. I'm writing the list. Everyone can get a fair shot. And going to John, stand by. Oh, we got two here. 1 second.
Hello?
Sorry, I have two here. Faster, 1 second. John, I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Everybody.
Who do we have first? John?
John first. John can go. Laney, 1 second. Apple, I'm just gonna put you on the side.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Hi, guys. It's John Walsh, 1101 B Street.
John.
I just wanted to ask a couple questions. The storm drains on each block, are they going to be shoveled out? Because there's a lot of flooding happening like on sidewalks and coming up towards like, I guess, people's aprons of their driveways. I mean, my dad did ours on our block, but I don't. Is DPW going around doing that tomorrow or something? Anyone can answer that?
Go ahead, Mr. Kirschbaum. You want to answer that?
Yeah, John McGuire's on.
Oh, is he?
Hi, yes, this is John McGuire,
Hi, John.
Superintendent of Public Works. How are you, John?
Well, thank you.
Yes, we spent the last 2 days plowing, making sure all of the public buildings were safe. And my process would be tomorrow, we want to start opening up some of the storm drains.
Perfect. Awesome.
So cleaning up where cars have finally moved. So,
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. And then my second thing was, I know Pat Wan brought up the disabled beach badges. I spoke to my aunt who comes every summer with my cousin who has Down syndrome. He's intellectually disabled. And I mean, just as an example, when we go to Florida, when we go to Disney, he does not wait on lines. He cannot wait on lines. That is something that we know personally. With his disability, that is not an option. So when we get his disability badge at the pavilion, it's a big to-do. He doesn't walk well. We bring him up to Taylor Pavilion in May. We get his badge. We show his ID. We're good for the rest of the summer. This process that you're discussing, I really hope you reconsider, because it is just not going to work. Disabilities are on a spectrum. I hope people would, I mean, you're on the ADA committee. I hope we would know better than that. I mean, we cannot blanket this. And I know people who are a part of the veteran community who hate going to get their badge every day. They're residents here. There should be some type of process that's done better. I appreciate that they're going to be free. I think that's great. All I can say is the process needs to be better thought out. And that's
Thank you, John. Thank you, John, for your input. Like I said, this is in the works.
Yes.
Just making notes here, what you have to say, and we will look into trying to resolve this. Thank you for your input.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, looking at my list. Lainey, if I said that properly, I apologize. You're up.
That's okay. Hi, my name is Lane Happel. I'm at 1919 Marjoram. I wanted to know if there had been any discussions about the recreational program for the township summer camp and other organized activities that happen on the beach. If you have talked about what's happening this summer, as a parent of two, we have to start planning for these things now.
Well, I could tell you this, that we are planning some basketball events down at for the children down at Dempsey Park. But as far as the beachfront goes, we're still in this pandemic, and until we get direction from the governor, and if the pandemic looks like it's not going to be with us this summer, then we'll be opening up the things. But as of right now, we can't open up anything.
So just because schools have used evidence-based practice to open up safely and have done it in a really safe way, are you using those same evidence-based practices to make the decision about summer camp?
Well, we'll be talking about it if it can be done, but we're looking at more organized programs where there's going to be more supervision, like the basketball or tennis or something like that. As far as junior lifeguard and anything down the beach, as of right now, no, we can't have anything. But if the governor allows us to have more gatherings, more than 25 people, then maybe that's something we're going to look at.
Well, you know, just with all due respect, the beaches were extremely crowded this summer. So I can't imagine that having camp would put anybody at more risk than the crowded beaches would have. And as a therapist, I just have to say that the emotional well-being of our kids is so important, and they have missed out on so much this year. And I really fear for what the fallout is going to look like if they can't look forward to something and have some sense of normalcy this summer.
Okay, we'll take it under consideration. Thank you.
Okay. Looking at my list. Linda, yeah.
Hello again, Linda Sharkus, 4th Avenue.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, everybody. I want to congratulate John McGuire on a job well done. I was very impressed with how the roads were cleared. It's great. So thank you very much. My second point, which kind of goes to the snowfall, is Lake Como has alternate street parking. I think in the southern part of town, we might consider that as an alternative to trying to get all the cars off the street. I don't know what you were up against, but this may work similar if we had a program similar to what they had. You know, during snowfall, they could be on, you know, east and north, and then they change to west and south after the end of the storm, which would give the guys plowing the opportunity to clear both sides. So just my thoughts. My next point is, last week I got a COVID shot, and the doctor that gave it to me has an adult autistic child, son. He comes to Belmar from North Jersey because of all the advantages of getting the badge and be able to take his son regularly to the beach. And he goes across the street from DJ's because it's one of the few places that he could go eat. So getting the badge for somebody who's doing a ride on the weekends would be much better than having a wristband and having somebody who sat in the car with somebody may have attention problems. I think that going back to the badge would be very desirable, and something he was disappointed when I told him when I went for my shot that it looked like he'd have to pay for a badge. So not having a badge is probably problematic for, as John Walsh had mentioned. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And Gerald, I see you had your hand up and you coming on in. Go ahead.
Gerald Buckafusco, 409 Fifth Avenue. Two things I'd like to address. At the last meeting, there was a discussion primarily by the mayor and Councilman McCracken regarding the painting of the water tank. And certain things were said, which I later investigated. The first thing was, in 2015, the borough bonded $350,000 to repaint the water tank, okay? That was picked up by our local media also, by the way, and was headlines in the Coast Star if you didn't see that. Well, let me tell you, I went through all of the bond ordinances that exist for the water utility, and I went through all the minutes from 2012 to the end of 2018. And guess what? There is not one bond ordinance that specifies $350,000 for the painting of the water tank. So I don't know where you got that information from, but it's wrong, okay? Number two, then it was said, well, we don't have this money, and it was probably used, that's right, it was used to pay off a lawsuit, okay? And that's a half-truth, because if anybody listening wants to find out about the lawsuit, just go to the minutes of November 8th, 2017, which, Mr. Mayor, you were on the council at that time. And there was discussion by then attorney Northgrave about a settlement that was made between Metra Industries due to some work that they had done for lining the tanks. And the bottom line was this: it was a contract dispute. All right, they had a contract for $910,000, okay? And as they started the work, they found out that it didn't need to be done, okay? There was another problem. I think it had to do with the water valves. So they stopped working, and the issue became, how much are they going to get for the work that they did, okay? The town wanted to pay them $150,000. Metra Industries wanted $400,000. The lawsuit was filed in, I think it was October 2015, and it was settled in 2017 for $230,000, okay? So what would have cost the town $910,000 cost the town $230,000. If you need to verify that, also, if people listening, they can go to the bill list for November 8th, 2017 on page 37, and you will see that there's a payment to the Tesser Cohen Trust account. Those were the attorneys for the plaintiff, Metra, and you will see that there's a payment of $139,912 that was basically charged to the 13-11 Ordinance Capital Improvement Fund. The remaining $90,000 came out of the capital outlay and other expense repairs of the water utility. Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is because I really was disturbed by the fact that you, Mr. Mayor, and you, Mr. McCracken, would put this stuff out there and say that it was a result of the work that was done by the Finance Committee in investigating this, when none of this was true. And all you accomplished was to make the town of Belmar look bad, okay? And I would really, really hope that you investigate things, especially when you're alleging that money has been missing, before you pronounce it in public. All right, my second point goes back to the first aid squad. One of the things I think we need to do here is think out of the box in terms of funding. You know, many towns are having a problem. Oh yes, it's happening all over the country, but I would rather see Belmar be the exception rather than the rule. Okay, and we all know what the issue is. It's money, it's funding. Right? The town doesn't want to give any more money, but the first aid squad needs money. Well, I have an idea. Over the last 10 years, we've had developers, property owners, builders, you know, who have gotten some nice deals from our town. Tax breaks, approvals for development plans that, you know, squeeze big buildings on small pieces of property or add additional floors. Essentially, what they want to do is maximize their profits, okay? And this has been happening, right? It's too bad that these developers haven't stepped up to the plate and donated a little money. Now, I'm not saying none of them have, but I think it's incumbent upon the council and somebody within the administration to maybe reach out, you know, like they reach out to you when they want a development plan and you guys meet and you decide to make a building, you know, on 9th Avenue with 4 stories, you know, without any public input. I mean, maybe these are the people that you should go back to and say, hey guys, you know, you put 200 plus more units in the town, you know, and now we have a problem, okay? I think it's worth giving it a shot, all right? Because you know what happens in the end? The taxpayers foot the bill for all this stuff, okay? Wait until you find out how much emergency services is gonna cost on a monthly basis. I just read an article about Red Bank, $10,000 a month for emergency services, and that's not 24 hours a day. Okay, so I think, you know, I think there could have been, or could be a lot more done. And I suggest that, you know, the powers that be in the township remember this now and remember it in the future when developers come to you and they say, oh, we would like this passed, we would like that passed, because this is also part of their responsibility. And the last thing is, I really would like, I shouldn't mention it before with the proposal. I really hope that this whole thing with the emergency medical proposal is transparent, because I would really like a commitment from the council tonight to say that there's going to be full transparency on this object. Because we have seen in the past proposals pop up at the last minute, not available for public review, and then before you know it, they get voted on. All right, so can we see this proposal before it goes out for bid? And can we see all of the proposals that come in before the council decides on who's going to get selected? Can we get a commitment from all of you on the council that this will be fully transparent to all the residents and taxpayers?
I could tell you this, that when the bid goes out, yeah, we'll put it on the website. And it all depends on how we're proceeding on what's going to be public. But Mr. Dasty, could you just on the first point, talk about that a little bit?
Sure, thanks, Mayor. I had indicated Mr. Buckofisco and members of Belmar. If a question came up about the water tank issue, that this is a subject, as I'm sure you understand, Jerry, as an attorney, it's a subject of an attorney-client privilege. We are still assembling all of the information we have, keeping in mind that this occurred pre this administration about 8 to 10 years ago. Whatever occurred, if it occurred, was 8 to 10 years ago. When we assemble all the documentation and it's been reviewed by the professional administrative staff of the borough, we're going to forward copies of the documents to the New Jersey DCA, Department of Community Affairs. In the meantime, I've instructed the mayor and council through the administrator that because of the attorney-client privilege and possible litigation, not to discuss this with anyone publicly or privately. It's simply premature, and it would be inappropriate, I think, and unfair if we did so. We won't be having any specific response to the questions you've raised other than when we finalize our review and when we're ready to send things appropriate, if necessary, to the DCA, they'll be public. It's a very serious matter. We'll be discussing this with various governmental entities at the appropriate time. We're getting all the documents together. A review will take place in Belmar very soon. We're still at the very early stages of the investigations, so I've instructed the mayor and council not to formally comment or respond to any questions. But we will be fully transparent with regard to this. And once the analysis is completed, and once we're ready, if necessary, to speak with representatives of NJDCA and others about why this occurred, the public will get all the information. And I'm promising you that personally as a professional, and certainly I know that I'm speaking for the mayor and council.
Well, I would just like to step back a second, though. Then we're not going to talk about it now, but it's okay for it to be put out into the public without any specifics. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think I said that at all, sir. What I said was, we're not going to.
Can we find out at least what ordinance was the mayor referring to when he said in 2015 an ordinance was passed that specified $350,000 was going to be set aside for the water tank?
No, you're gonna have to give me a little more time. We're still reviewing this with a CFO and with the township, with the borough auditor, and you're just gonna have to give us a little more time. All of those questions will be answered in the not too distant future.
Okay, well, I can tell you there are no ordinances that do that. Now, if there's some other legal, something that's not made available to the public, that's a different story. But anything that's out there that is public does not point to the statements that were made at the last meeting. And I think it really misled people to believe that money was missing. And I think, it would have been a better practice to not having said anything and just do your investigation and send it up to wherever you're going to send it, because it really, really makes the town look bad. And without the facts, and the lawyer-client privilege and all that stuff, it just leaves us all hanging, right? Because I look to the documents, I look for the facts, and from the facts that I see, going through the minutes, going through all of the bills, going through all of the ordinances, there is nothing to back up the statements of the mayor. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with to back those statements of January 19th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And then Sherry, coming to you.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Name and address.
Yep, Sherry Russo, 1218 Briarwood Road. Two things. I'm sure that Jerry did far more research than I did. However, after the last council meeting, when I had asked the mayor some questions about whether or not he was on council in 2015, your answer was no, that you were not.
And I wasn't.
Absolutely. I just want to finish my sentence without being interrupted, if that's okay. However, In 2017, you were on council and you actually voted on that lawsuit. Like, that was a public record. I feel like we're on a TV show here with this mumbo jumbo of like, we're taking the Fifth Amendment. But I found myself that public record, and other people in town knew that I talked to some Democrats and some Republicans, and that everybody seemed to know that you were the past administration that actually voted on this. And I'm curious, you know, I also saw that it saved about the town $600,000 by settling on the lawsuit and things like that. But being that you were on council, you know, you knew that you wanted to run for office and that you knew you wanted to be elected and that you knew you wanted a position of responsibility. I'm curious, why not bring it up then? Like, and I don't know if this covers our under the, you know, we can't talk about anything attorney-client privilege or not. But like, it seems a little odd to me that on 2017, you vote for something, you know, and then here we are.
Well, I'll tell you one, yes, I was on council, and when it was explained to me, it was a settlement for a lawsuit. And according to the attorneys, it was the best direction to take. That's all I could tell you about that.
Right. And so I feel like, you know, if something's explained to me, that's all well and good. But, you know, I feel that people that are in a position of leadership, you know, should do a little bit more research to make sure that what they're being told is the truth. And, you know,
All I can tell you is this, that I wanted the water tank painted, and there's an issue. And now the issue has become.
Mayor, let's hold off, sir. I'm sorry, with all respect, listen to your lawyer. Listen to your lawyer. We're going to get there, Ms. Russo. We promise you. It's just going to take a little more time.
Yes, well, my problem kind of is that, you know, we have these headlines of missing money that don't match an article. And then we have Facebook that's talking about like all this stuff going on in the past. And the finance committee is supposed to have this presentation today and all this sensationalized media is happening. And then we all come to council meeting today. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's on here listening. And, you know, as we're looking for answers to something that was spoken about, it's like, nope, not talking about it anymore because we decide attorney-client privilege. And I just think that's kind of, you know, odd to me that you bring something up, you know, and then, oh my goodness, the money's missing. Well, you know, we people that looked it up or talked to other people. I'm sure there's plenty of people that were on Facebook that were doing the same thing. And, you know, I believe you all have Facebook, or most of you I know have Facebook. And so, you know, we have this big sensationalized story and now we're like, oh, we'll let you know down the road. And so, number one, there's some things that, you know, I hope that we know down the road, you know, and we have no idea really if we're going to be let known down the road, because of course we all know that we cannot predict the future. The second thing I wanted to talk about is I think it is absolutely despicable that Campbell is a class on planning board. I just want to say that I don't understand, and I just think that is an awful situation. As I said before, do you know, I volunteer with organizations of people with disabilities, and I think that just is something that never should have happened at all. Is there any comment about that?
Well, you made a statement. If you want to ask me a question, then, you know.
No, I just asked you if there was any comment about it.
No, I don't have any comment. There's a lawsuit involved.
Oh, there's a lawsuit involved with him being on the planning board?
There's a lawsuit, and I'm not commenting on it.
So is it, I mean, maybe this is a question for Jerry Dasty instead of you. Is it then illegal that Campbell is appointed to the planning board? Or is it legal or illegal? Sorry, is it A or B?
That's all right. It's a matter that I was first advised about a couple of days ago. We're looking into it. We're going to discuss that and other issues with the mayor and council this evening.
All right. And unfortunately, and you know, it seems that, you know, in this council, first we had a problem with veterans beach badges. Then we have a problem with disability beach badges. Then we have a problem who made a horrific workplace for somebody who also has a disability who's appointed to planning board. And we have, first aid. I just, it just seems to be, a bad situation for people with disabilities, unfortunately. And I feel that that is just, despicable. Thank you.
Thank you. One moment. Okay, Sharon, coming to you. One moment, Zoom is slow. Sharon, you there?
Yep, I'm unmuted. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Hi, Sharon Russell Fowler calling 11th Avenue
Hi,
from the
Sharon.
Belmar Library. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention a couple of the new programs that the library has. I'm not going to go into them in detail. I'm just going to talk about them very, very briefly. We do have Flipster, which is giving you access to 28 of the most popular magazines that a lot of people were using at the library. For high school students that are getting ready to take their SATs and PSATs, we have an EBSCO Learning Express, which allows you to take practice college placement tests, as well as all of this is free with your Belmar Library card. We also have, for those that are starting small business, we have a small business reference center, which has videos and access to databases and lots of business articles. And also wanted to talk about, we have classical music back, which was very popular with a lot of the seniors, which we used to have on Wednesdays. So we have that through Medici TV. And also we have Free Gal Music, which is also additional music. But please make sure that you do check out some of the videos that have been posted on the Facebook page through the Belmar Public Library. You'll find stories by Miss Peggy, as well as poems, stories, and jokes by David Capoli. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you much for all you do. And next person, stand by. And John, go ahead, sir.
Hi, hello. Hi, John Walsh again, 1101 B Street. Don't mean to come up again. But what Linda Shark had said reminded me of a point I wanted to make. My cousin suffers from sensory overload, and that would also be a problem with beach badges. I mean, I keep bringing up, we go away every year to like a theme park, to Disney. He doesn't wear his wristband that is required of park attendants to wear it. That is another issue that, I mean, I just really hope we consider everything. Like, my aunt is 75. She wears his beach badge for him. He will not put it on his skin. Do you know what I mean? He will not put something like that on. Just really hope we consider everything. That's all I have to say.
Okay, we will.
Thank you very much. Stand by. And no hands.
April?
Can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next we have a resolution to go into executive session. This, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas there was adequate notice to the public of this meeting, and whereas the Borough Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Council as follows: the public shall be excluded from discussion and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is pending litigation. Minutes will be kept of the closed session. It is anticipated at this time that the above subject matter will be made public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists, and this resolution shall take effect immediately. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Can't hear you. Something happened with your mic. Can't hear you, Mary.
Can you hear me now, John?
No.
No. Just unplug it.
How about now?
Yep, you're good.
Nothing?
Go ahead, you're good.
Yeah,
Oh,
good. There'll be no action taken after this meeting, after the executive session. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Mayor and Council, I sent you the Zoom link for the closed session at the top of your email. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
You. Good night.